Hey, British computer voice, come read the Drift ad.
Today's episode is brought to you by Drift Outfitters in downtown Toronto, Ontario. Drift Outfitters is your source for all things fly fishing. From waders and boots, to thread and feathers, Drift has it all. Check in on their website for their latest updates and policies regarding shopping during the pandemic. Curbside pickup for your online and phone orders is a great way to get the gear you need. And they're shipping for free across Canada on orders over $100. Visit driftoutfitters.com to learn more. You'll love it. Trust me, I'm a computer. Also, Mitch rules.
Hello and welcome to another episode of SoFly. It is the end of January and we're recording another show. Again, my name is Mitch and we've got Aldo.
Hello.
We've got Yilma.
Hello.
And we're super excited to have two guests on the show today. So we've got two introductions to make. First of all, Paul Nicoletti began his guiding career near Glacier National Park in 2013. He finished studying fisheries at the University of Montana and then moved to Alaska, where he first began to develop a love for filmmaking. Paul has worked a number of jobs in the fisheries world, from teaching AP Environmental Science to guiding in Alaska. He now works for the Fly Fishing Film Tour, otherwise known as F3T. And we've got Nick Jones, our other guest on the show today, who grew up in Minnesota and got into fly fishing while working as a spearfishing guide in Baja, which is super cool. He's had the pleasure of guiding in the Seychelles as well as Alaska and is excited to soon be guiding in Kamchatka, Russia this summer. Nick started working for F3T last year on the road crew and has now transitioned to his current position as a production coordinator. Paul and Nick, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. How are you?
Good. Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, excellent, man. It's been quite the winter so far, with a lot of work and a lot of effort. But over the last couple of weeks, Nick and I have been getting just like super excited because we're finally getting our films in, just seeing all the hard work pay off.
Yeah, man. No, it's that time of year, I guess, for you guys at F3T, kind of putting it all together so you can ship it out for the year.
It's coming to a head very quickly. You know, it took a long time. It obviously every season takes a long time to get to the zone we're in now. But you know, this season especially, the social landscape has changed drastically.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool. It's been a cool opportunity for us. You know, I don't want to say we're, you know, super dialed in, but we're getting the process more dialed in, and it was kind of cool this season to have. We had to think about outside the box a little bit to figure out how we were going to bring it together and make it work, and you can credit Paul with that. Obviously, we have a huge team of people that are all helping out in so many ways, but you know, Paul's put a ton of work into this, and you know, he's a good leader. Right
on. Well, it's a beastly project, and we're definitely going to get into all the nitty-gritties. But first of all, why don't we just kick it off with where are you guys calling from today? Because I know you guys are in two different locations, right?
Yeah, and I think at many times during the week, I constantly remind myself how bad I wish I was where Nick was. I'm based in Boulder, Colorado currently.
Okay, right on. And Nick, you're in Florida, right?
Yep, I'm in North Central Florida. I actually just got back like a couple hours ago from a little duck hunting trip we did out in the boat.
Right on.
Man, it's cool. We just had duck poppers.
Oh man, that's awesome. Duck poppers. Yep. Whoa.
Yeah,
that's pretty rad.
Pineapple cream cheese, jalapenos, the marinated duck, and then wrap it in bacon and whack it on the grill.
Oh my god.
Dang, man. So you're living you're living the hunting, fishing life right now. It's warm, right? It's freaking cold here. It sucks. We're up in Toronto and it's just
like minus 30.
Yeah, it sucks.
You know, the funny thing is, growing up in Minnesota, you know, we had cold winters very similar to what you guys get in Toronto. Mm-hmm. Cold is cold, right? And it's funny how I went to school at the University of San Diego, and since I went there, I got soft.
Yeah.
And it's funny now that I live in Florida, it gets down to like 50 degrees. I'm like, ooh, it's cold.
Yeah, man.
Like, I keep my sweatpants and a full hoodie and jacket on.
Oh,
it's funny how it changes.
It's the way it goes. Okay, so we got Colorado and Florida, right on. We're in Toronto, so we're kind of all over the place. That's awesome. That's kind of a cool way to do it.
It's a good spread. It's a nice triangle.
It is. It's like kind of it's a nice big triangle. Okay, so why don't we just kind of kick it off with, I know we started talking about F3T, but, Paul, why don't you just kind of set up for people listening at home? I mean, I'm sure all of our listeners are well aware of F3T. If you're not, I'll keep listening, and then also check out some of the links in the show notes. Because, Paul, what is F3T?
Yeah, so the Fly Fishing Film Tour is an independent film festival, and so every year we'll have filmmakers from around the world submit films to us about all different kinds of fly fishing. Freshwater, saltwater, here in the U.S., domestic films, international films, and we look for a large slate of different pieces to kind of put together this ultimate experience. We like to have films with comedy. We like all different kinds of species of fish. We love films with women, films with people that are just not your normal characters, but we like to have that broad base of different films because everyone will find one film that they like the most at the very least.
Right.
And yeah, when we actually have a normal tour season, we typically kick off in around mid to the end of January in Bozeman, Montana at Sims Fishing Headquarters.
Nice.
We go there, and we'll have 2 road crews, 3 different people per crew, and we jump in these trucks with trailers and boats, and we travel from one venue in one city to the next. And we put on shows and try to fish as much as we can in between.
That's sick, man. So you guys literally are touring. You guys literally touring.
It's actually a real tour.
Road
That's
dogs.
a real tour.
Yeah, I love that. It's not easy either.
No, it doesn't sound easy.
Paul, what's your I guess what's your title for what's your role there at F3T?
Yeah, so this last year I just became the Fly Fishing Film Tour manager.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so for the last just about the last 10 years, we had 3 original owners, and they really cultivated the whole experience, which is working with fly shops all around the country, nonprofit and conservation groups to kind of start this grassroots communication, all of these locations. People can get together, watch the films, usually raise some money for a good cause, drink some beers, and yell at a screen. And over the last 4 years, I've spent a lot of time on the road, started making films, and as those old bosses have now sold it to a new company called Pocket Outdoor Media. If you're not familiar, they own brands like Warren Miller, Backpacker Magazine, Rock Night, Skiing, and the Fly Fishing Film Tour is one of those brands.
Cool.
So now, luckily, I get to work with some incredible producers, editors, people that have been working on Warren Miller for the last 20 or 30 years.
I mean, amazing production house there. Like, I think that was the first snowboard movie I ever watched was a Warren Miller, or ski movie.
Yeah.
Was a Warren Miller movie, yeah.
If you ever make it down to Boulder, I can show you some of Warren Miller's. We have about 80 years of his footage still in the basement of our building.
Damn, cool.
Yeah, man, there's a podium in the back where Warren actually used to live narrate his films from the stage before there was ever sound. So he's been doing it for a long time.
That's amazing. He would just stand there while the film played and he would just narrate it?
Yeah, back in the old cinema days.
It's badass, man.
It's badass.
It's really
totally
hard to do now.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so are you guys filmmakers yourselves too? I know, Paul, you mentioned you do films.
I'm just kind of starting the last 2 years. I got a small Sony A7 III camera, and I just started filming everything that I was doing when I was guiding with Nick up in Alaska. And the more I filmed, I realized that so much of what makes a good fly fishing film tour film is honest interactions between friends fishing. You know, people want to see these films, people going out, having a good time, and just being themselves out in the water. And if you can capture that with the awesome fishing we all love, then I realized that, you know, I'm not very good at it, but I got something going. And so we've been working on that more and more, and working with the other filmmakers helps you learn quickly. If you're working with some of the filmmakers, right now we're working with Off the Grid Studios, R.A. Beatty, Cole Collaborative, Shannon Vandeveer, KGB Productions, and these guys have been filming for a really long time. And when we have timeline restrictions and certain things that we want them to hopefully be able to help us create, because we're looking at the lineup of all the films, we want to make it together as a whole, this awesome thing. When you get a chance to work with those people, you just learn so quickly about different styles of editing and how to take really harsh critical feedback.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, I guess. Well, it's really always really nice to have humble people on the show. You say you're not very good at filmmaking, and I see Nick just laughing.
He's being very humble and modest, and that's awesome. But he's good with the camera, and I'm sure you guys saw the last film he had in the tour. But you can pat yourself on the back, Paul. You're definitely good with, fun to be on trips with, and that's the most important thing. But when you pick the camera up, things come together, and you do a great job. And I say the same to you guys too.
Oh, I mean,
dude, we love your film.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Yeah,
Thanks.
we're. I think when you say like we're definitely the ones just getting into it, that's for sure. Okay, let's just go back to then. Let's just jump all the way back to just kind of fly fishing, like how you guys got into fly fishing, and how it all began, and we'll work our way up to, what goes into making a fly fishing film, because I think it's an interesting topic. A lot of people are interested in that, and a lot goes into making a fly fishing film. So but let's start with Paul. How did you get into fly fishing? How did that begin?
It was 7th grade social studies, and my friend Elliot would bring this giant backpack to school every day. And I mean, it was super heavy, like to the point where he was kind of leaning forwards over because it was toppling him over.
Sorry,
And-
Paul, are you from Colorado as well? Or
No, actually, sorry. Yeah, so I grew up on the East Coast.
Okay.
I grew up in Connecticut, pretty close to Long Island Sound, fly fishing for striped bass. That's kind
cool.
of what I did in high school.
Cool.
Okay, rad.
My dad's from the Bronx. His name's Tony. He's had a mustache since the 2nd grade. My mom's from Long Island. I don't
That's awesome.
sound too Italian, but yeah. But my friend Elliot had brought this giant backpack into this social studies class, and instead of them being like actual textbooks, they were like 8 of those old school Cabela's hardback catalogs. And so we just sit in the back, and at the time I didn't fly fish much, but we just kept on looking at the books and not paying attention in school. And before you knew it, Elliot had me fly fishing. So that's kind of just one friend who got me into it. And just kind of we taught ourselves from there.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
That is kind of how it starts. Like just like getting stoked on catalogs, Cabela's catalogs. I can feel you there. Nick, how'd you get into it? Like I know you said spearfishing down in Baja.
Yeah, I had a very non-traditional intro into fly fishing. So I never fly fished when I was a kid. Growing up in Minnesota, we had all the lakes, so we'd gear fish with spinning rods and bait casters for muskie, pike, walleye, all the different panfish, smallmouth bass. So I'd fished as a kid, but kind of took a hiatus for a while, and I went to school at the University of San Diego and got my degree in marine biology. And then after there, just kind of started my whirlwind of experience-driven jobs, we'll call them. I kind of sought that out. I worked on Catalina Island for 4 years as an outdoor ed instructor, and then that's what eventually brought me down to Baja. So I started working down there as a spearfishing guide, and it was really cool. Get to be in the water 8 hours a day, every single day, without rest, and we got to see some really, really cool stuff. But we saw roosterfish all the time, and I didn't know at the time that roosterfish were a very sought after species on the fly. I'd see them in the water all the time and thought, oh, those are cool fish. And towards the end of my time there, we had a guy come down who was going to start a fly fishing program for the spearfishing outfit I worked for, and he said, hey man, before we leave Baja, we should go fish for roosterfish. Like, let's go. And I was like, I don't know anything about fly fishing. Like, I don't know that I can be any help to you other than telling you where they are. And he was like, well, if you take us to a spot where you think there are roosterfish. I said, I don't think. I know they're there. I see them all the time in the water. He said, well, I'll make you a deal. You can use one of my 9 weights and just like watch me cast on the beach. And he kind of showed me the ropes. And that very first morning we went out, he's 50 yards down the beach from me casting, and I'm kind of figuring it out. We caught a handful of ladyfish. So I don't want to say I'd figured out setting the hook, but I caught a few ladyfish. Oh, this is so cool. And, he's 50 yards down the beach from me, and I'm walking back up the beach, stripping my line in, and all of a sudden, my hand stops, and I never set the hook. I thought, I'm stuck on something. And then it swam away really quickly, and exploded line. I had an old cheeky reel.
Nice.
And it took maybe 220 yards of backing, and it took us maybe like 40 minutes, and we got it in the surf and landed it, and it was a 35, 40-pound roosterfish. And
Oh
Damn.
my god.
Jesus.
from that day on, it was like, I like this. This is really cool. And coincidentally, that same guy who I was fishing with that week was like, hey man, like this is crazy. He caught one right after me. So we landed 2 fish within like 45 minutes, both the same size class. It was such a cool experience. And after that, he was like,
Damn,
look,
that's
it doesn't
amazing.
ever happen. You're going to be a fly fishing guide now, and you're going to come up to Alaska and guide with me. I didn't know how to tie knots. I didn't know what waders were. Like, I was so lost and ingrained, but he kind of, I think it speaks to everybody can think of the person that really got them into it, because it's not an easy sport to break into.
Yeah.
Just doing it. It's so complicated and it's so overwhelming. And he was the person who was like, all right, I'm going to help you get your first couple rods. You don't need to know what they are. Just start fishing. And, it's like putting together pieces of a puzzle, and, it's a puzzle you'll never finish. And I think that's why so many people really freak out about fly fishing. But I was lucky to have him. And then, it just took off from there. I ended up getting my captain's license, and that same guy had got me the job out in the Seychelles. And that was really stupid cool. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I mean,
imagine.
I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to have had people who stuck their neck out for me, vouched for me, and kind of taught me.
I've heard many beginner stories. I haven't heard that one. Just like right in the deep end, roosterfish, 40 pounds.
No, right in the deep end. And you guys, I wish you could have seen it. I'll show you the picture someday. You can zoom in on the photo, and the hook is on a tiny shred of meat on the outside of the fish's lip. There's
Man.
there isn't another world that I should have caught this fish in.
Yeah.
It was something that happened, and it set me on a totally different path. And
Exactly.
It's
here
amazing.
we are on this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy first fish, man. Like,
Yeah.
It was nuts. It was really, really impactful. It was crazy.
And then
Was
day
that
2, a
first
guide.
season? Sorry.
Yeah, right. And then I learned how to tie knots.
So that was it. Just a first season. You're just like, he's like, you're coming to Alaska, and you're like, yep. And then you
Yeah.
just did it. That's
Well,
crazy.
I was on this kick, dude. When I went to university, I was a book rat, dude. I had a few friends, but I wasn't that social. I got good grades. I put my head down. I never went out and partied. I just didn't really hit that phase. And by the time I finished, I had worked so hard. I thought, I don't want to keep doing that. Like, now what I want is to go travel and start to learn, the other side of life, which happens outside of school. And so I kind of told myself
It's definitely guiding.
Yeah, there you go. I told myself I was going to take like real experience-driven jobs, and that's what led to the outdoor education, which was really cool.
Nice.
And then Mexico, and then Alaska, Seychelles. I lived in Prague for a year teaching English in between that, and it was cool. I've been really fortunate to have had the opportunities I've had to go and do things. I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Globetrotter.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first day in the Seychelles, like guiding? Like that must have been kind of like,
Terrifying.
oh, it's quite different, right?
Absolutely terrifying. I'll tell you, when we got out there, I was definitely filled with stoke. I was excited, but it kind of set in when I got out there that the other guys that I was guiding with were like professionals, like true professionals, could cast 100 feet of line into the wind without question with a single back cast, like really, really intimidating fly fishermen. And that was kind of my first experience where I was like, I am outside of my element. I can't cast, more than 25 feet, but it was probably the best thing that ever could have happened to me, because if you think, you show me your friends and I'll show you who you're going to be, right? And, these were the people that I was just around every day, and they're all super good dudes. And I just was able to learn and soak things in. And I learned
Trial by fire, Nick.
trial by fire. Absolutely. But it was, talk about insecurity. Ooh.
Yeah.
Like I was, there was days I was a nervous wreck, and I couldn't even tell you how many times when you go through a 3 week, like 2.5, 3 week shadow period where they just send you out with other guides, and, you just watch what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you got to go do it on your own, like you have to make decisions, and those decisions are complicated in a giant atoll with that's totally tidally dependent. And there's plenty of days where I came back with my tail between my legs and my head down low, but it just goes to show you hang in the cut long enough, and you start to pick things up and you get it going. And it was a very cool formative experience for me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, learning to fly fish while guiding in the Seychelles is pretty fucking awesome, to be honest with you.
Like I said, I'm very lucky. I was very fortunate that those guys took a chance on me, and it ended up being. I'm 36 now, and that was a couple years ago that I did this. So for me, at the time of my life that I'm in right now, it was cool to go have the experience, but it wasn't something that I could keep grinding out year after year, being away from my family and friends. So unfortunately, it was a one-season thing for me, and I have so much love for those guys. They're all unbelievably fun, talented, cool people, and I was lucky to get to go spend some time out there.
If you guys can't tell yet, Nick is like one of the best people in the world to work with, because he's not only humble, but he's just really thankful and honest and happy all the time. I mean, he's about a grateful dude.
Yeah.
It's a lot of what's kind of pushes me through those situations. I had no business being out there.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell anybody that. Like, I didn't deserve that opportunity, but...
Yeah, well, that's what he said when we started guiding in Alaska together, and I immediately was just like, dude, you are so personable. I mean, you talk about it like a perfect river lunch. Like, if we're cooking salmon and Nick's guiding with you that day, it's like guaranteed it's going to be a full-on buffet.
Right.
And yeah. That salmon 8 different ways. And it's not the thing about guiding in these experiences. It's about the people you're with and the opportunity you have to share that great time with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reading those people and not just being the first to like try to dictate what their experience is so important. One thing that Nick is really great at is just being awesome.
So you guys guided together in Alaska. That was where you started guiding as well, right, Paul?
Yeah, we started guiding in Alaska, and it's kind of a weird thing, but for the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years, a predominant amount of the people that are working on a road crew are actually Alaskan guides, because you're going to wake up early, you're going to drive 12 hours, maybe 14 or more in the course of a couple days, show up, get excited to interact with people at our sponsor booths and as an MC on stage, and then it's off to the next one. And if you got time to fish, it's like...
Yeah. And in between all that, you eat gas station food.
Yeah.
And drink cheap beer.
Yeah.
That sounded pretty good to me.
Yeah, that just sounds like that sounds
like great.
Clearly, it's ruined us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So you guys got a pretty good
application from me and Mitch at the end of this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, you guys have a good team down there. Yeah, like how many people make up the team roughly? Like, is it big team, or is it kind of a tight knit group?
So it's interesting that you asked that. So right now, just because of the plans for the tour this year, we have been focusing on doing things differently we have in the past. If there was a road crew, we'd have 6 people traveling from one destination to the next. Okay. But right now, there's kind of 3 core people, Nick and myself included, that are really familiar with fly fishing and help with the film selections, everything that helps the grassroots connections and all the people we work with around the country make all of that work. We work with over 150 fly shops on a normal year. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of incredible people to talk to on the phone. But that's kind of where we come in. We also have a marketing team. We have someone who helps out with operations when they can, and some other awesome people that just love being outside. It's
right on.
Cool.
So
yeah,
that prompts a good question. Actually, is what happened when COVID happened? How did that change? I mean, obviously it changed a lot of things, but what changed when it freaked out, and how did you adapt for this year?
Well, just to begin with, Nick and I were on the road, and we were actually, our last show was in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but there was another road crew that was putting on a show in Nashville, Tennessee at the same time. Okay. I'll let Nick take it over from here, but like we listened to the president on the radio the day that there was an order to essentially stop any in-person events, anything like that. It was just like, look, this is a real problem. We all knew it was bad, but then we got the orders from the top down saying, guys, like, this is just not the right thing to do. We're done. And that was right after our show in Green Bay. But that show it's pretty weird, wasn't it, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it was a build-up to it. Yeah, because it came on pretty quickly, and then you'd start to hear the news, and I guess we could all see it coming. It was just when it was going to happen and when it was kind of socially right to pull the plug. And as soon as they started saying like you shouldn't be in groups of more than 6 people, and when that unsaid, it was like, okay, we just did our last show, and then word came down from the top. And selfishly, we were so excited because we kind of have fishing planned between these shows, right? So 2 of our big fishing deals were going to be after that Green Bay show. One was going to be on the White River in Cotter, and we were going to have 4 or 5 days, depending on how our schedule worked out, to go. Hopefully, one of us get into a big brown trout. And then we had time in Rockport, Texas, scheduled to go do some flats fishing, and we were so looking forward to it. But things change. It's a great lesson in life. Things just change, and you have to roll with the punches. And what a better way for us to roll with that punch than think like, okay, well, we're not going to do those trips anymore because we can't. Essentially, we got to make it back to Boulder. So drove back to Boulder, got everything packed away at the tour, and then that was during the time where social distancing became a hot word.
Yes.
A hot term.
Yeah.
So
paper was not existent at any single supermarket around town. Everyone's fighting for toilet paper. We're like, all right, what are we gonna do? And so our friend Parker drove all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, up to Boulder to meet us. And Nick, Parker, and I, we jumped in a car. We drove to a cabin in Wyoming, and we went fishing for about a week and a half. And it was weird because no one was there, which is awesome, right?
That's so awesome.
Yeah. We just turned it straight into fishing.
Yeah. It worked out well. What better way to socially distance and be away from people than?
Yeah,
I love that. You're like, oh, the world, like, who knows? It's ending. Like F3T, we don't know what's happening. Like, you guys want to go fishing for a week and a half in Wyoming? Yeah, okay, let's go.
Yeah, our boss was
awesome.
like, don't move anything out of the trailer. Leave it where it is.
Right. Yeah.
And just do anything besides work for now. We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Go fishing. And we're just like,
it was an interesting time.
Dope.
Sure. It was weird, but super rewarding to all of a sudden, like it was bittersweet because we wanted to do the rest of the tour. I mean, have you guys been to a tour showing?
Yep.
Yeah, like I mean, I suppose it depends on the show, but they're super fun. And like for us, that's like, you drag a lot of the mornings because you're up early and you're doing a lot of driving and you're kind of zonked out. But when things start to ramp up at the shows, like it's genuinely fun. Like we have a good time. We get to have a beer and get to share the stoke with all these other people that are coming out to do the same thing, for the same reason that we're doing the job. So it was a little bittersweet, but it was good that we got to punctuate the tour with a little fishing trip for ourselves.
Yeah, that's
pretty awesome. Well, yeah, it must be sweet. Like you get a window into all these little, fly fishing communities around the continent, right? Like you're like, whoa. I mean,
you meet so many people from so many different areas, and you see the bigger picture of fly fishing. Like, you see everybody's love for it in a different light. Mm-hmm. Why people enjoy it for different reasons, and that's really invaluable to see because we all have a love for fly fishing, right? But to be able to better relate to someone who loves it strictly because the place that they're in is beautiful. Like they might not be fishing for big fish. Like there's all this hype about giant fish, but there's still people that go out and their fisheries are what they are, but they genuinely love it because it's what they do. So it's really cool to get to see that and all the different people that we interact with.
Yeah, it is a really cool. It is a really cool thing that you guys got going on. I mean, like it's pretty unique, and. Side question, Rockport, did you have a guide that you were meeting up with down there by any chance? Or were you guys were just going to go fishing?
Paul, this might be a better question for you. One of the guys that we guide up in Alaska has a place out there who invited us out, and I think he had organized boats and people to go out with. So
Gotcha, yeah.
I don't know who.
Well, it was the year before we went down to Austin. We love Austin, Texas. I mean, not only is it after traveling across the Pacific Northwest and Montana and Colorado, the Midwest during the coldest time of the year, you finish off down south in the springtime, early March.
Nice.
For red fishing, but it's just that final blast of like nice warm weather, like really celebrate spring and all the hard work.
Yeah.
In 2019, we had showed up at one of our clients' houses down in Rockport, and we got to go out on a fan boat for a little bit with some of our girlfriends, which was really fun. And once we got back to the dock, JT Van Zant was there with like one of those little copper mugs, drinking some whiskey. Because you saw we drive all these really cool trucks. We've got in the past we've had this Costa 4Runner, and it's pretty, it's definitely screams Costa, and like I'm a huge fly fisherman, but when it's your job to drive it around and you get a nice vehicle with an awesome boat, it's a great thing. But he came on over to talk to us, and then later that night we ended up meeting up with a couple of really cool dudes we had not met. Ryan Callahan from Meat Eater, Yako Lucas, who's been making films with us for a long time, and then JT Van Zant, and some of our clients from Alaska. We all got to hang out and drink beers and catch a couple redfish. We had a little bit of a cold snap, or we just did a really bad job catching fish, one or the other.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have cold snaps just about everywhere.
Me too, man. I don't know. Who the hell knows?
That's what I say too.
Yeah, you said Rockport, and I know Aldo and I's ears kind of perked up because we fished in Rockport a couple years ago, and it's a blast down there, man. Such a fun place to fish. Like the red fishing's insane.
So do you guys all live full time in Toronto?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
How often do you make it down to the States?
Every year we try to get down a few times. Aldo and I grew up in Ottawa, here in Ontario, so it was close kind of to the New York's border. So we would go upstate and fish there a couple times a year. So we grew up fishing trout in New York upstate. But lately, yeah, we've been trying to make a few trips down. I mean, last year without COVID, we were supposed to go to Montana and meet up with some friends out there. We were planning on going back to Rockport and fishing with Blue Lagoon Lodge. Joe is our contact down there. He's a super awesome guy. Go back to New York. There's so much good fishing down there. It's insane. And, it's an endless list of places we want to go, But COVID happened, and now we're stuck in Canada.
Yeah. Now we're stuck.
Goddamn place.
What's been your guys' favorite place that you fished in the States?
Rockport.
Yeah, man,
No way.
No,
Rockport.
I don't know. Like I've done probably a little bit more traveling in the States than these two guys, because I used to be pretty heavily in like the food and beverage scene, and a lot of traveling in the States, and I did a lot of vacationing in the States too. But anyway, long story short, yeah, I mean, Rockport was, like Mitch said, Mitch and I grew up in the same town. We didn't meet each other until we moved to Toronto, which is kind of funny because I worked at one fly shop and he worked at the other one. And we never met. It didn't make any sense. Like,
weird. But we both fished upstate, which is
both fished upstate New York, like Malone, the Malone area streams, and also Lake Placid, of course, and the Osable. But 2018, yeah, we did a lot in the States. We went to Pennsylvania, we went to Indiana. We did our film down in Indiana, which was awesome. And
cool.
Rockport, Florida. I try to go to Florida every year. I've got a friend who lives in the Keys, and he fly fishes, so it's like, But there's something about Rockport though.
The Keys, man. I gotta go to the Keys. Like, you're in Florida, Nick. Like, what's the deal? Like, where in Florida are you again? You said
So I'm in North Central Florida. We live in a small town that's like 45 minutes outside of Gainesville. So we're in a really rural area, but we have my girlfriend and I just bought a 17-foot Maverick.
I'm going fishing on that soon.
Yeah, we've been out every weekend except for this one because I went duck hunting. But it's been really cool. The fishery out here is neat. I haven't even scratched the surface yet, but there's a lot of the migratory tarpon, jack crevalle, Spanish mackerel, redfish, of course, sea trout. So it's kind of cool. The flats out here are expansive, really neat area. So yeah, we're lucky enough to have a place on the Gulf that we can go to, and
yeah, it's dope.
Yeah,
pretty
kind of have a base operation. So when you guys are in the States, you'll have to let us know and come to Florida and fish. It's like, I would almost call it a happy medium between what the Keys is, and I haven't seen Rockport, but I imagine it's very similar on the Gulf there that it is where we are. Like, it's a lot of grass flats and rock structure.
Right.
But yeah, it's a cool area. We'd love to have you guys out. It'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, man,
super fun.
Love to come on down. Yeah, we really like everything I'd read about redfish or any film I ever saw. Like, it's exactly what it was like in Rockport. And I think we just hit the timing really well. Like, a cold front had just ended, and the first day we were there was like slow-ish, I guess, if you can call catching fish all day slow. But like the next day was like insane. We were with our pals from the Yellowstone angler, Chloe, from Livingston, and her and I shared a boat the second day, and Mitch shared a boat with our buddy Joel, and it was just like,
oh, it's crazy, man. It's just like so
crazy.
Fun. Redfish.
Love rock.
You spot them, you cast, they go crazy. It's like, it's mental, And Rockport is very different from Toronto, fellas. Like
very different.
It's like another planet. Yeah. Where like, I know this is probably contentious because you guys fish all over the U.S. and you're from the U.S. Where But do you guys have a favorite place in the States to fish, like in your home country? Is there a number one?
I think
Alaska.
There's no number one. I mean, you guys fish in the most crazy places. Like, how can you pick?
We're really lucky that way. Paul, I'll let you answer first.
I think the coolest thing about the film festival and the opportunities I've been lucky enough to have working for the F3T has been fishing with different people in different places. And I can't tell you that one fishery is better than the next, because when you're as lucky as we are to have like random fly shops offer to take you out on their boat for the day, like the experiences you have with those people, you might have caught one fish that day on, for example, the White River in Arkansas, and that was because of that experience, the people you were with, your favorite place to fish in the world if you go back and do it the same way.
Totally.
And I think it's really hard to ever pinpoint it on one thing.
Yeah.
And just back to the audience real quick, like, you know that the films that we're showing are not going to be accepted the same way in California that they are in Florida, or in New York as they are in Oklahoma, or South Dakota as they are in Nevada. Like, everything is every audience is so different, and so is each fishery. But if you made me pick one place that I really, really love to fish, I think I would say that one of my favorite places to fish is probably northern Wisconsin for smallmouth bass.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. I really love smallmouth bass fishing. I think it's super fun. I love being in the middle of these one lake to the next, hiking with a canoe over my back. But that is just one of the many examples. I usually also just really enjoy cheese curds and some delicious spotted cow beer and the good folks that live in the Midwest. So that might be part of it too. I'm not sure.
Great answer.
Yeah,
It's a very, very good answer. Nick, what about you? I'm just like, what's your favorite place to fish? And you give me a good answer. I don't know. Nick, what about you? Do you have a number one?
I know there's so much that I haven't seen, but of the places that I have fished, I grew up in the Midwest. My buddies starting to fly fishing there, and we do quite a bit of work on the Namakagon River in western Wisconsin, northwestern Wisconsin. And Paul said it's a gas. It's stupid fun. The day just it all kind of blends together, we'll say,
Right.
between the beverages and and canoeing down the river. I don't know. It's so hard to say. I love flats fishing, and that's why I'm so excited about being in the area that we're in now, because this will be my first real experience in the States where I get to flats fish here. That's not international, but of the place I've gone so far, honestly, I really liked Wyoming. I would say that's my favorite. It's so pretty with these huge canyons and mesas, and the water's just so varied. There's so many different ways you can fish. The last time we went out there, we got to, I know it sounds corny, but we just got to throw streamers, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
With a cast, you could get a swing rod and swing. You could cast a single-handed rod and strip them in. It was some of the most fun I've had fishing.
Wyoming looks beautiful, man.
It's pretty cool.
It looks so cool. But it's a great answer. I mean, we've had as much fun fishing Indiana as we have fishing Rockport, and fishing's fun anywhere you go. And I think Nick Paul has a great point about the people you're with, right?
Definitely.
So Paul, let's switch over to filmmaking. How did you get into filmmaking? Like, what spurred that foray into that world?
And sorry, Paul, I'm going to take some notes.
Yeah.
Take some, right. Whoa. I was like, why is he taking notes? Oh, right.
I'm taking notes too.
Yeah, Paul,
us.
you bought the same camera we did. We were just like, when we were like, I don't know, I'll get the Sony. So we're all three of us, when you said that, we're like, oh shit, sick.
Yeah, no, man.
We're in.
We're in.
For me personally, I was my dad. I told you he's from the Bronx. He's had a mustache since the second grade. Everyone calls him Anthony. He's a total goober. And when I was younger, he's like, "What are you gonna do when you grow up?" I'm like, "Dad, I don't know what I'm gonna be." But we'd go fishing every weekend. He didn't like to fish, but he'd go with me because he knew how much I loved it. And eventually one day I saw a trailer for the film called Red Gold, made by Felt Soul Media. And the storyline was about the Pebble Mine in Bristol Bay, Alaska, and the issues that the mine would have on the area. And I went to the Lincoln Center in New York City. My dad let me skip an entire day of school to get to this event on time. And a bunch of natives from the local villages in Alaska were there, some representatives from Trout Unlimited. And I watched this film, I had like shivers down my back. And after that film, I told my dad, I'm like, I think I want to study fisheries. And after that moment, it's what led me to go study fisheries in Montana in college. It's what led me to eventually be a fly fishing guide in Bristol Bay. And it's really come full circle because that was the first place where I decided I want to start making films. But for me personally, it was all a chance of luck. One of my old bosses, Ryan Thompson, who ran the F3T for 10 years, his family owned a raft company in West Glacier, Montana, called Glacier Raft Company. And these guys are some real like original badass guys that started whitewater rafting in that part of Montana. They also would run the howitzer guns in the Snowbird Valley in Utah. So they were these kind of like hotshot group of people that had a really awesome outdoor culture and history. And when I got to know Ryan Thompson, he got super, we got really friendly over time. And when I started guiding Alaska, he asked me if I wanted to work for the road crew. And I started seeing everything kind of come full circle. I'm like, well, my fisheries degree isn't really being used, if you want to say that. Now I'm just a raft guide, but then I'm a fly fishing guide. And then eventually it was just like, you have an opportunity to work for the F3T. And once that started, I got myself a camera and I actually started just shooting everything I possibly could. And I started filming as much as I could. And I realized that even with a bad camera, if you find the music that you love, and if it's something that you can actually license, and you just film as much as you possibly can. A week usually isn't enough, but you try to capture all of the most authentic moments that you have with your close friends, the worst moments, the best moments, and you have a couple of different lenses, so you're always thinking. If you can start filmmaking by getting as many shots as you possibly can, you're going to be able to put something together. But it's just going to take some time. It's going to take some time messing around with the shots and being really dedicated to say, hey, I want to make this film. And so the first one I ever made was just guiding in Alaska with my best friends. And I used footage over the course of 2 years. And I just started learning, and I started asking my friends that were good storytellers, some filmmakers I had met from the F3T, and I made my first rough film. And I tried that, and it was really fun. And then I decided I wanted to keep doing it. Sorry, that was super long.
No,
that's perfect.
No, it's great. Yeah.
That's perfect because you talked about kind of what makes a good film, and that's what I was going to ask, like the production side of it, because we'll talk about what people are looking for at an F3T event, but like what technically goes into making a fly fishing film? Like how does somebody just go, I want to do that?
The film that I made for last year's tour, before I was officially like the tour manager, which is why it was accepted, was I used a Sony A7 III camera with a shotgun mic. And then I had a DJI Mavic 2 Pro drone, and I had just got it. The first time I ever flew my drone was when I was down in the Bahamas. I had no idea how to do it. I knew I had all of the right equipment, and I just started flying, and I was like, I'm going to move slow. I'm going to try to just get the shots. And as long as I know I'm fishing with really fishy friends, when I'm trying to capture that fishing footage, I have to make the mental sacrifice to say, I'm not fishing. I worked for an entire week and I paid for this trip to this lodge, and it was a really, really rough experience in the sense that the lodge was in the process of being made, and the lodge owner wanted to basically scout out this area. So when I got down there, it was just like, can't wait to go catch bonefish and barracuda and triggerfish and maybe permit if we're lucky, and all of these different things. And it just so happened that every single day we got luckier and luckier and luckier. And instead of actually picking up my fly rod and being selfish and saying I'm going to do this, I was like, no, I'm committed. I'm going to film everything I possibly can every single day. And by the end of it, we captured bonefish eating flies on topwater, which is something that we didn't even know existed. Our friend Elliot figured it out. We're like, wow, okay. Like these bonefish were eating these glass minnows in this back bay. And as soon as my friend Elliot tied on a little tiny crease fly, it took him like 10 tries before one of those fish could actually eat it because their mouths are on the bottom part of their face. And we're like, oh my gosh, wow, I think that just made the film. And then the next night, we had way too many beers, and we went shark fishing.
Shark fishing? A bunch of beers and shark fishing. Yeah, that's a good formula right
What
there.
could go wrong?
Yeah, we have one more day of fishing. We're like, guys, let's celebrate. This has been an incredible trip with incredible people. We've gotten really lucky with the filming. Let's just go drink some beers and try to catch some sharks. We stayed up till like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning on this pier. Caught like 3 sharks at the time of our life.
Oh, that's so sick. So you were just drinking beers while shark fishing off a pier.
Yeah. We didn't catch big sharks. We didn't catch many of them, but it was really, really fun. And then the next day we woke up hungover and we're super tired. And we get to the first spot. And honestly, some of us were just like, we're just going to start diving and just, just snorkeling around, looking to try to get some underwater shots and feel good. And then all of a sudden, like this giant school of massive barracuda made it into this back bay. And my friends were like, Paul, we're going out there. I flew up the drone. All of a sudden, bam, like we get these incredible barracuda imagery of like 5 barracudas circling this guy's fly at the same time.
What?
Damn.
2 seconds later, triggerfish start coming around where I'm sitting on this little sand flat. And I was like, you guys got to come over here, get a couple of these incredible triggerfish eats. All right, guys, we should test our luck. Let's see if we can't get more topwater eats.
Oh, no way.
So we start driving to this other spot, and we hit this massive school of jacks that are just eating on the surface. I'm like, dude, this day is getting better, keep getting better and better and better. Like, we got to keep filming. We got to keep filming. We'd seen 2 permit the entire trip. We get to the sand flat. We're about to walk over to where we know these bonefish were hanging out. And then all of a sudden, like, one of our friends is like, there's a permit over there. No way. There can't be a permit. And 3 of my friends all basically surround this permit at the same time. They took 40 casts at this thing. It wasn't like what you hear about permit, they're so hard to catch or blah, blah, blah. They all were taking casts at it over and over and over and over again. And probably about like the 40th cast, Red hooks into this like 15 or 20 pound permit. We're like,
wow.
Just like a lucky day of fishing, a good day of filming is when you just stay committed and you're just having fun. If you're out there to have a good day with your friends, and no matter what your expectation is, you're just going to have fun. Even if you don't get that fish footage, you're going to get the footage of the incredible experience with your friends. And then maybe you come back for your second trip or your third trip, or you just make a bunch of film. You make an awesome film about people having a great time not fishing. And that right there in itself is the foundation for an incredible fly fishing film tour.
Absolutely. Aldo, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, for anybody listening who doesn't know the film, that film was Expectations.
We had no expectations going down there besides like,
I was about to say.
It's like, I'm kind of broke, guys. I just bought all this camera gear I don't know how to use.
That
definitely sounds like us.
Yeah. What a fun time, But, I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, there's fishing and then there's filmmaking, right? Like, when you're on a film, when you're shooting a film, like, you're not fishing, like, you're shooting film. Right? Like, you're not like thinking about like, when can I cast? You're thinking about like, hey, what's that next really cool shot that I can get that would get people excited?
Funny you say that, because one of her friends that also works for the tour is named Sanford. Sanford's the kind of guy, he sees a fish, he just tunnel vision. He focuses right in. Like, you're not going to be able to tell him to slow down. And it took a while to be like, Sanford, that is the shot. You got to wait for me to get in the right position, which is really tough, right? Like that dynamic between the person you're fishing with, and unless this is like you are making a film, like if you're just trying to do this to begin with, but to be able to work with friends that you can give them a hard time, be like, I need you to move a little bit over before you make this cast, even if it might screw it up. Yeah. Right. Like those are the kinds of things that if you prepare ahead of time with a good friend that is good and fishy, or even if they're not. Yeah.
No, you're right. No, I think you've hit a really good point, because we've had a lot of moments, Yelman and Aldo, where we're just yelling at each other. Like, fucking move over there, like make the cast, shut the fuck up. Like,
fuck you, let me fish. Or like,
very
but it does.
normal.
It takes direction. Like, you have to, there's a person directing, and there's the talent, right? Like, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
Fishing, filming, dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's behind every shot, I think. But I think the better you get at filmmaking, maybe the more seamless it is. But no, that's cool, man. I mean, Jesus, that day fishing sounds insane. Like that whole 48 hours, like drinking on the pier, shark fishing, and then just a day of just ridiculous. Even just spotting them, not even catching them. Like there's joy in that, right? Like you get joy in just that moment.
100%. If you're on the flats and you can get close enough to a fish like that to get a shot, like. Sometimes, a lot can be up to the angler, but sometimes the fish is in the mood
Mm-hmm.
and everything lines up and it comes right, or sometimes it doesn't. But the fact that you got in position to get a shot when you're standing on a flat seems like a miracle, because you're like, there's water 360 degrees around me.
Yeah.
That goes for long distances. How on earth am I even going to get close to anything? And then it starts to happen, and that's the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nick, what's your role at the tour? It says production coordinator. So you making film? Are you making?
Don't know what that means?
No, I just mean like, are you making films too? Are you're selecting films? You're making films?
No, so I'm kind of Paulie's right hand man. So I help out with a lot of different things. I manage relationships with our sponsors and conservation groups, and I have dialogue with a lot of the filmmakers. Some of them, it's a journey with the films, because they'll come in like they come in, and then a lot of people will say like, hey, look this over with me, and like, how can we make this better? So we're in kind of a unique position where we get to really intimately work with filmmakers, and it's cool from my perspective because I'm not a filmmaker myself. I know, when something is pleasing to the eye, and when I enjoy watching something, and it's a really fun process to get to work with the filmmakers, and it's a cool, very interesting job, and we've all been working remote now that everything has happened with COVID, so it's been kind of cool to see all the different ways that we can kind of accomplish the same goals, just doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Your
Totally.
video screen and lots of talking.
Yeah.
Lots of talking.
Floating heads. I know it's been such a strange year of just talking over Zoom, but well, I don't know. Do you guys have any projects coming up in terms of filmmaking? Like, do you have any? I know it's kind of weird because COVID's happening, but like, do you have any trips planned, or like, films in the books?
Let me give you a quick one too on where we're at right now. So this season, everything's been pushed back a little bit. We're super excited to release a virtual kickoff of the tour starting in early March. And then we've got some awesome plans I'm not going to release quite yet about what we plan to do throughout the late spring and summer across the country. But some of these films we started working on as soon as July of last year, or we got these submissions, or we seeked them out, or we communicated with people. And through this process of understanding which films are going to be in the tour, we might go through as many as one of the films this year went through about 21 different versions of the film before it got to where it is right now. And part of that process is working with Nick, working with our other internal network people to get like the most honest response possible. Like, for the first time, anglers that have never seen any sort of fishing footage that are like, why are you watching this? It's like fish eating bugs, like there's a lot of people that are like, what is the fly fishing film tour, And so understanding that perspective, understanding the diehard person who's guided for 30 years, their perspective, and everything in between happens when you have these open conversations about what other people think about the film. Because it can't just be Nick, and it can't just be me to say, this is what we need, this is the perfect answer. It's never that. It's how do we come up with an eclectic mix of films. And so this year's tour, we have a total of 12 feature-length films, and we have a total of 8 short films. It's the same length as the other virtual tours that we've done in the past, which is pretty crazy. But, I mean, the amount of fishing is really unique. And we've got some pretty fascinating stories in this year's tour, including, just to name a couple of the different species, we've got striped bass in the Northeast. We've got steelhead in British Columbia. We've got trout fishing in Utah, some of the most unique trout footage we've ever seen. We've got some really badass older ladies that went down to Christmas Island to go fishing that run nonprofits here in the States, like Casting for Recovery. We have smallmouth and pike from some of the folks over at Meat Eater. And probably the most unique film that we have in this year's tour is actually a story about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who wrote some of his most famous speeches in the Bahamas, actually about 4 days before he was killed. And so the story is about one of the most unique fly fishing guides probably in the world, and he's not very well known. His name is Ansel Saunders, and his story is unbelievable. He's got the world record bonefish to his name. He's a fifth-generation Scottish boat builder, and he's met not only the Queen of England, Muhammad Ali, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but he also came up with the concept of the Super Bowl, as in modern-day football Super Bowl history back in the 40s and 50s. So this story is fascinating, and it's an incredible story about equality and fishing, and honestly, just some historically relevant, unbelievable.
That's crazy, man. That's
Wow.
that's wild.
Yeah, we're very, very proud to have that film in this
I'm
year's
excited
tour,
for that
and
film.
grateful for the sponsors.
Stoked for that
and-
one.
I'm stoked to see the films. I just want to put in quick. How are people going to find the films this year? Like, how can people watch?
We're going to be having some special announcements come around the third week of February here in the States. We're working with over 100 fly shops, and even more than that if you include all of our conservation and nonprofit partners that are working with us to share the film across the States and do some cool fundraisers. And so, around the third week of February, you guys can get ready for that teaser stoke reel to come out to the public and to kind of release the bigger, broader plans of what we're doing with the films.
Okay, amazing. Okay, well, I mean, that's everybody kind of like stay on the lookout for that, because, I mean, that film festival sounds amazing. You guys do a great job of curating film selections, amazing content. F3T is awesome. Everybody will just keep an eye out, because you guys seem to be really doing a lot of work and making some waves. Like I hear people talking about you all the way up here, and it's cool. We're really excited to check out the films this year.
That's cool to hear. Those are nice compliments from you guys.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this year. This was kind of a unique situation for us, and the plan we have in place we're really confident on. And look at the core of everything we do since the inception of the fly fishing film tour. It's been about supporting local fly shops and conservation initiatives and conservation groups. So, that still remains true to this day with the film tour, which is really awesome. And it's, personally, I'm sure I speak for everybody who's on our team when I say this. It's part of the reason why we're all so proud to be a part of a group like this, because it's still about, when we were coming up with our plan for how to move forward, at the core of that plan, the center of all our discussions were how can we best benefit fly shops. And, we don't work with every fly shop in the country. It would be nearly impossible, but that's our goal. The goal is to help prompt people to go and to support their local fly shops. Those are the backbone of the fly fishing industry. So it's cool that that's still kind of core to our mission. And, it still rings true today, and it still rings true with our plans for moving forward in a year where it's a very abnormal, weird landscape to move forward in. But we're super confident, and the content is there. We've got some, like Paul kind of gave you a rundown on them, we've got some really amazing, genuine, authentic films that have some really cool, unique stories that haven't been told yet in the fly fishing space, especially the Ansel Saunders and Martin Luther King Jr. one. And, we're confident that the content speaks for itself, but with all the different fly shops we have on board, it's just such a cool thing within the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Do you guys ever have people go like, what do you do? Fly fishing film festival? Do people get freaked out by it? Because like up here, I'm like, I'm going to go to the Fly Fish Film Festival. And people are like, there's a film festival for fly fishing? I'm like, yeah, and it's big. It's a big deal. And they're like, what?
Yeah, you just described my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, but it's amazing the stuff that's happening,
Yeah, my mom every year, it's the same thing. Like, what are you doing, honey? It's the fly fishing film tour. Oh, that's so cool. So you show fly fishing movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good, man.
I love my mother. She's an angel. She's so funny though sometimes.
Yeah.
I know my mom's texting me right now. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like,
I think there's a film in there, guys. I think we got to take our moms fly
Yeah,
fishing.
we've always been
want to take our
talking about
moms
it,
fly.
yeah.
We always talk about taking our moms fly fishing. They comment on our Instagram more than anybody else. Like, we gotta take our moms fishing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Classic
Yeah,
grandma.
100%.
That's my mom. And
On Instagram, classic grandma. Yeah, can
You
you
guys have
imagine?
good moms if they're willing to venture into the social media space and comment on your
Absolutely.
comment on the content.
It's a lot of heart
Very
eyes
true.
emojis.
Those are very motherly emojis.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Imagine
a
you
big
almost-
fish, Aldo. That's a big
Yeah.
fish.
Yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
It's not that big. Thank you, though.
Can you imagine all those mom fighting a redfish in Rockport? That'd be ridiculous.
It'd be hilarious. She's like 4 feet tall. She'd be like this water bottle fighting a redfish.
Amazing. Okay, every episode, guys, we do 5 questions. They're the same 5 questions we ask every guest, and they're kind of just like favorites and bests kind of questions. But we like to ask them to everybody just to kind of see what people say. So we're gonna ask you guys now. There's 2 of you, so I'm gonna go. I'll go Paul and then Nick. So we'll start with Paul and then Nick. So 5 questions right now. They're called Mitchie's Fishies 5 because there's 5 of them, and my name's Mitchie, and they're about fishing.
We're super creative over here.
Yeah, really kind of going.
Literary geniuses.
Okay, so this first one is, what is your favorite fish and why? Paul, if you had to pick a favorite fish, what would it be?
Keep in mind, you're talking to 3 smallmouth guys here.
Yeah.
Like, we grew up catching smallmouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess since I said I love to fish for smallmouth, I kind of left off the fact that I love to fish for steelhead. And when I was younger, I just wanted to catch all the fish in the entire world, and I just had this nonstop go, go, go. And as I've gotten older, that's kind of changed, and I just like standing in rivers and trying to do my best to catch fish in tough ways. So there's no fish I appreciate more than a fish that has a crazy lifestyle like a steelhead and is so difficult to catch.
Amen to that, man. Steelhead are super dope. Nick, how about you? Favorite fish and why?
Like, my
Rooster
answer would
fish?
be a bit more cliche. I would choose rooster fish without a question.
Hey, right on.
And partly just because that the first experience I had made such an impact on me, but since having fished in other places, they're every bit as aggressive and nasty and mean and fast as a giant trevally, but they're just so weird looking. They're such cool fish. They'll feed in deep water. They'll feed in shallow water. They'll beach themselves to chase sardines. They're really cool fish.
So
I choose them.
They're so cool. So cool looking.
I got an ignorant question. Okay, so the dorsal appendages that come up above their, above them. What's that for? Is that for to feel bait fish?
You know what? I could not give you a scientific answer. I can definitely BS with the best of them.
Yeah.
I think it's aesthetic.
This is aesthetic.
It's just like aesthetic.
I do know this: when they go into feed mode, they throw that comb up.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
It's
man.
very cool. So they'll flash they have like these cool bars that go down their body. When you see them in the water, a lot of the times the comb is down and they don't have that color, and they're just like a kind of silvery, shiny-ish color, a little bit darker on top, a little bit lighter on the bottom. When they go into feed mode, they get those cool bars on their body, and they'll throw their comb up. So when they feed in shallow water, you can see it come out of the water, and it looks like the comb of a rooster, and that's obviously how they got their name. But I couldn't tell you why it's different.
I get an idea.
Crazy. Yeah.
I think it's just a sexual adaptation, just like deer and elk have large antlers. You need to defend, right? Like, it's just a sense of competition. So whether it's like the birds of paradise in the Amazon that have beautiful colors to be able to attract their mate, or it's just I don't think it has anything to do with defending.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It is. I don't think they're lucking or defending fish in a certain area, but it's got to be some sort of sexually adapted genetic trait.
The comb.
Yeah. Because it's so badass. It's like Liberty Spikes,
Yeah.
They're like the punks of the saltwater. So cool.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Rooster fish is super cool. Great. I like that. It's a good answer. Okay, so number 2 is, if COVID wasn't a thing and assuming it's the perfect time of year to go to this place, if you could fish anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
Who do you want?
And let's start with Nick on this one. So Paul has some time to think.
Oh, I have another cliche answer. I would go straight back to the Seychelles without
fair enough.
without question. It's there's the 5 different main species that they target out there are GTs, bonefish, permit, 2 different species of triggerfish, and milkfish. But in addition to those, there are hundreds of different species that you can target on the flats and in the surf. It's a, for lack of a better word, it's a magical place. It really is. And you know what? It sucks. It sucks. I was talking about it because it's not feasible for people just to go over there and fish it. And that's why I say it's kind of a cliche answer. But honestly, if you're going to put one place on your bucket list to save up for and do, I would highly recommend going out there to fish, because it's like a wonderland. Anything could happen at any time. There's lots of beer involved. and it's 90% of the time it's sunny and really nice.
Yeah, I love it.
So if you hit that
it.
GameStop stock this week,
yeah.
if you're on that Reddit tip,
Yeah.
sell and go to the
Take those
Seychelles.
funds.
It's not
Go to
GameStop
the
anymore. It's Game Go,
Yeah,
and it's going very quickly.
Amen to that. My God. Paul, where would you go? Anywhere in the world.
I'd go to the Smith River. I've been
Okay.
lucky enough to draw a permit for a 4-night, 5-day float. Because what I want more than anything is forget about technology, forget about everything altogether besides being on a river with some great friends, drinking beer, maybe a couple snow showers, hopefully enough sun to just, get the t-shirts out, but just float down the river for 5 days and not think or connect with anyone besides the people you're with. That's what I want.
Yep. That's so Smith River is where is that about?
It's in Montana.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
it's a well-known river at this point. There is a mine that's threatening the river itself. It's one
man.
reason it's got a lot of publicity, but it is a permitted float in Montana, and
Dang.
It's a beautiful, beautiful section of river. But it's more about just getting the hell away from everybody, having a nice campsite, and forgetting about
Yep.
all of the other things that we've all been thinking about over the last years.
Yeah.
Come to
That's a good
Temagami,
point.
man.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on up here.
Yeah, come on up here. We got a
Nothing
place like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah, man. Okay, Paul, let's start with you. What is your favorite or one of your favorite fishing memories? And this is always tough.
Yeah, well, it's not fly fishing, to be honest with you. It's ice fishing, but it's definitely my best fishing story because it's accurate.
Okay.
I was in college. I was about 21 years old, and this guy who I knew gave me a bunch of ice fishing gear, and we went up to a lake to go ice fishing, just me and 3 of my buddies. And we finished about all of the beers. There was 5 left. We put them inside of one of the holes because someone's brilliant idea was the beers aren't cold enough. Let's put them in the ice hole, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone walked outside the tent, take a leak. They come back inside the tent, not looking or anything. Their leg goes into the hole with all the beers, and their leg gets about, passes knee deep because we had like a 12-inch auger, so he just goes straight in there. Pushed all the beers. We're like, no, Martin, no. And we were devastated. And so we fished. We're like, all right, we'll give another 15 minutes. And my friend Jack had just like scooped out the rest of the ice in the hole, and he's jigging up, and all of a sudden hooks into a really nice rainbow trout, like 18 or 20 inches. And he's like fighting this thing, and it's just right below the hole, and then just keeps fighting it. And then all of a sudden one beer just starts floating back up. And he's like, and then he's just like, we're like, leave the fish in there, Jack, leave the fish in there. So he's just like fighting the fish as much as he possibly can, and 2 more of the 5 beers we lost floated up to the top of the beer hole. Yes!
Yes. The beer. That's amazing. That's great. I love that.
That's just there's so many great fish I've experienced with so many people, and most of the time it's not my fish. It's watching somebody catch that first fish. On a dry fly or on a swung fly or just the first species they caught, and they've wanted it for a long time. That's always the best.
Nice.
Totally.
I like that.
Do you still ice fish? Like, are you still out there ice fishing once in a while?
Since this tour this year, I haven't fished in the last like 3 months.
Yeah, just in general.
Not like really gone out and fished. I've done a little bit here and there, and so
it's a busy season.
It's just, it's a busy season, man.
Yeah, fair enough. Nick, what is one of your favorite fishing memories?
Is up in Alaska. There's a family that I've guided the past 2 years, the Jacksons. Super nice people. They're from Birmingham, and it's like Paul was saying. I share the same sentiment. Like a lot of my most treasured memories that have to do with fly fishing were other people catching fish. 2 quick stories. I'll keep them short. So the Jacksons. We had a day out on a river called the Moraine during the salmon spawn up in Alaska, and they're the nicest sweetest family. They're super appreciative. They're not, I wouldn't say, I don't think they would consider themselves the most proficient people at fly fishing, but they love coming up to Alaska, and they're genuinely some of the nicest people I've ever met. And we had a day out on the Moraine that I'll never forget with them, where the mom and the daughters caught sight fish trout after trout after trout, and they were having so much fun. It was a very cool experience that will likely stick with me the rest of my life. The other would be being with my brother on the Metolius River. He's just now starting to get into fly fishing, and he caught his first rainbow trout on a dry fly, and it was very fun to. It wasn't a huge trout; it was just a memorable fish. Cool to see him get super excited about a fish that's 8 inches. You know,
Yeah.
like that's awesome. That's what it's about. Like it's pure unbridled excitement over, what people who've been fishing a long time might just like, whatever. But to see him be like, yo,
Yeah.
it was a very cool experience.
Oh man, rad. That's great. I mean, yeah, it's what it's all about, right? Just like fishing with people that you love. It's fun.
It's the
Nick.
appreciation.
It's appreciation. And I get excited over an 8-inch rainbow trout
Yeah,
still. So you know what I
100%.
mean? Like I'm like, holy shit.
We do too.
Cheers to that,
We're
man.
all in good
Yeah.
company.
Okay, Nick, number 4 is, why do you fly fish? What do you get out of fly fishing?
Oh boy, you go into the deep questions.
Yeah.
This is number 4, baby.
It's
It's hard
Mitchie's
hitting.
Fishy's
I don't
5. It's
know.
hard hitting shit, you know?
I think my favorite thing about it is that it's constantly humbling. It is very much so to me, constantly humbling. Every time you think you get somewhere with it, it's right there to remind you that you still have so much to learn. But I guess it's taught me a lot in the sense that you realize you don't know everything, and you're never going to know everything, and that's okay. Like I'm okay with sucking, and that's how you learn. And
Yeah,
I really like that about it.
Yeah.
love that.
I'm here with
100%.
you on that.
Always something to learn. Always something to learn. Paul, why do you fly fish? What do you get out of it? Keeps you going back.
I love it for so many different reasons, but being in a boat with some great people, drinking some beers, and watching the day go by, and having opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
I think really the essence of why it's never gotten old or tapered out for me is the fact that there's so many different people that fly fish different ways. There's so many different techniques. There's so many different flies. There's so many different species of fish and places to travel to and things to experience. So the fact that you can't ever have it all, like, you'd be like, well, the fly fishing film tour has been going on for how long? How many times have you told that story? And it's like, look, every single one of those stories are different because they're told by different people in a different way. And I think it is the essence that you can never stand in the same river twice. You can't do the same thing over and over again the exact same way you've done it, because it's a different fish. It's a different beat of water flowing downstream or whatever. And I know that sounds philosophical, but it's just the fact that you can always do something new and different, and you can always learn something.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. 100%. Philosophical is good, I mean, that's what we're trying to get to with that one.
This is what it is, right? Not dislike it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so the last of the Mitchie's Fishies 5 that's going to close out the show, and we'll start with you, Paul, is what fly pattern represents you best and why? If you were a fly, what would you be? And it could be like an existing pattern. What fly would you pick? And this is kind of a hard question, because it's like, what are you talking about, Mitch, you maniac?
No, I got you.
Mitch is a bomber, by the way. Look at him.
I'm a bomber, yeah. Look at me. I'm a bunny leech or something like that, like just a bunch of marabou on a hook.
Man, I think I got it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say just a dry fly beetle pattern.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, because like terrestrial flies, you don't think of them as being something a fish is gonna eat all the time. But I feel like I'm always fucking working. So like I'm always present. I'm always one of those patterns that's just gonna be around and be effective, but not necessarily your first pick.
Yeah, I love it. That's
That's a good
great. That's a great answer. I love that.
You just sit in the fly box being like, You know.
She'll work.
Yeah.
You know what? It's probably gonna work.
You know.
That's the best selection, but we'll try.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Nick, you just ran and grabbed a fly box. I think you've got a fly in mind. What fly would you be?
I didn't even grab a fly box. It's like I keep my passport and captain's license in it, but I've kept two very special beat up goofy flies. And when you asked that question, I was like, I know the answer instantly.
Yeah.
If I were a fly, I would be a cheeseburger crab. Now
That's a first.
let me explain this. It's it looks like
Yeah.
this. So it's got like furry foam on top,
Yeah.
but it's a non-traditional crab. It's got goofy orange eyes. That's why the guy who made it, his name is Jeff. He's a really good fly tyer and fisherman.
Super cheesy.
It's got the weird orange eyes. It's got a little brown curly tail, silly legs. So this fly,
I took a picture of it, by the way. Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a very weird, non-traditional fly, and I can kind of associate with that. I'm a very goofy person. Paul will back me up on this. Like, I'm a goofy, weird dude, and like, I don't know. This resonates with me.
I love it.
Great answer.
I love it.
It's just it's
Those are great answers, man. Those are such awesome patterns. We never heard those on the show before.
Definitely not the cheeseburger. Actually, I don't think anybody's picked a terrestrial.
No one's picked a terrestrial, I don't think. No, like stimmies and stuff, but no. That's awesome.
yeah.
Guys, that's it, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Like, let's give you a second to plug anything you want to plug
Shameless
with
plug.
F3T. Like, is there anything you want the people to know? Anything you want the people to know? You know, where to find it, all that stuff. Closing remarks.
Assuming the 3rd of February date or the March 1st date?
Whichever one, probably the March 1st date.
I can do both real quick. I just finished,
Let's do both.
I just finished like 2 days of nonstop filming with Ben, the huge fly fisherman. Have you guys seen him before?
On
YouTube?
Oh, huge fly fisherman. Yeah. Huge fly fisherman. Yeah.
Yeah, they like stag these like huge fly fisherman stickers like on people's vehicles all around the country. Like, this guy's definitely a huge fly fisherman.
I'm a huge fly fisherman. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
And I've just spent like 2 days, so like I'm in plug mode right now. I've been saying the same thing over and over and
Perfect.
over again.
He's rehearsed.
I love it.
Keep your eyes tuned for the 2021 Fly Fishing Film Tour. We have a total of 12 independently full feature-length films and 8 shorts, with fish coming from every single major destination around the entire United States and international destinations abroad. You're not going to want to miss the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. film with key star Ansel Saunders, some of his incredible stories with the Queen of England, Margaret Thatcher, or just Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Check out flyfilmtour.com to learn more about what we're doing to help support local fly shops, conservation groups, and nonprofit partners around the states.
I love it. That's amazing. That's the perfect plug. Oh my God.
Can I get a final
Fucking
plug
right.
in?
Please, Nick, please. Jump in.
The final plug is for you guys to come down to Florida and fish. Mitch, you have my email.
Yeah.
Hope you guys reach out, and it's something we can make work for you guys.
Oh yeah, we can
I
make
would
that
love
work.
to
That'd
have
be
you guys
awesome.
out here to do some fishing. Paul could come down. Like, it could be
Damn.
fun.
Yeah.
Excited to show you guys this area, and at the very least, get out in the water and drink some beer.
Yeah.
Definitely, man.
Hell yeah.
When these
We're super into that.
when these
As soon as
borders-
we can, we will go.
man, when these borders open back up, it's like
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
we're
It's
gonna
gonna
go.
be
We're gonna
crazy.
go visit everybody in the states. But
Yeah,
also,
it's gonna be
I will
fun,
throw
man.
that to you, and you guys should come up here maybe one time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've got great fishing in and around the Toronto area, but we could take you, like Paul, if you're looking to have no service, we go to a region called Temagami every year a couple times, and we go into the backcountry portaging and looking to run into some pretty big brook trout. So if you want to not use
Yeah.
your phone for a while, we got
Absolutely.
just the place.
Just the place.
We got a really good sense of what you guys were like in the film you made. We really loved it, and you know,
Oh, thanks.
we had a lot of we didn't have as many submissions as we have in a normal year, but I think, you know, it was just so great because you guys are who you are. It was fun. You're always having a good time. You're doing cool things. You're making life work the way you want it to work. So, I mean, honestly, just to hang out with you guys in general would be a pleasure, and to go fishing with you and hang out and drink beers in a place with no
Hell yeah.
phone service, done.
Get Mitchie,
Let's make it happen.
Yeah,
Get Mitch to make you
100%.
some beer mosa.
Yeah.
Beer bosa.
Yeah, beer mimosas. Yeah, we're down. We're down. Yeah, that'll be good. And we're actually heading back
Yeah,
to
we're going back there.
Estegami Lodge, in the spring to take 2 of that trip. So we'll definitely
Sweet, good for
keep you
you
guys
guys.
posted on how that one goes. Yeah.
They
But
actually
definitely we got to connect.
Yeah, we got to connect for sure.
Wait, I think it's very serendipitous that your names are Paul Nicoletti and Nicholas Paul. I just wanted to point it out. I feel like Paul's name.
Oh, yeah,
should be
well, look at that.
Jones, Paul Nicoletti, just to complete the.
Yeah, you're like the inverse of each other.
Trifecta. I love it.
I didn't know. I've never even thought of that, Nick.
There you go.
It's funny you say that. I've got a video of last year with Nick Jones, met another Nick Jones in Missoula, Montana at one of our shows.
Whoa.
What? Your name's Nick Jones? My name's Nick Jones. Immediate friends for the rest of the night. The next 5 hours they're drinking beers.
Did we just
arms
become
over
best
each other's
friends?
shoulders.
I ruined
So
this
good.
guy's first date with. I thought they were. Admittedly, I was a little drunk the time I met him, and I pulled up next to him both on the bar, and I was ordering my drink, and well, you guys fly fish at all? And he goes, yeah. Oh, cool. We just put on the F3T. Did you guys get a chance to see it? And we just started talking, and so before we know it, I find out he's got the same name as me. So he starts. I feel bad saying this, but he kind of just started ignoring this girl because we were getting so excited that we had the same name, and we started talking. So he goes to the bathroom. So I, like, I'm saying to his girlfriend, like, hey, we appreciate you, like, sharing your husband for a little bit. Like, this has been cool chatting with him. Like, this has been cool. And she's like, as far as I'm concerned, you can have him. Like, this is our first date together. And this is so poorly. I thought, oh, no.
That's hilarious.
I got him
The
done.
day I meet another Yilma, I swear
Oh
to God.
man. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right, man.
that's true, actually.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Amazing.
Nick Jones is our dime a dozen.
Amazing. Well, guys, it's been a blast chatting, and let's definitely keep in touch and look forward to hitting the water together. But again, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us.
It's a real privilege.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Great
Florida.
meeting you.
Wow, what cool guys. I love those guys.
Yeah, they're awesome guys.
Yeah, those guys are super nice. Wow, like super cool guys. Definitely want to connect with them and go fishing 100%. There's so many cool trips we could do. Like we could just all descend upon,
I know.
like all descend upon.
Well, I'm telling you, man. Once I sell all this GameStop and AMC stock I'm holding, like
Air Canada. Don't you have Air Canada?
Nokia.
whatever else the internet's trying to turn around, then we're going fishing, guys. We're gonna buy a boat.
Yeah.
We're gonna buy an RV, and we're just gonna go.
Buy
we're just
a
gonna go
TV.
fishing. Buy a TV. I don't know. We're just gonna
Oh
go
my
fish.
god. Great show. F3T is super cool. Those guys are awesome. I love what they're all about. I think they're super nice. Super nice guys. And F3T is packed full of great content, and it gets better and better every year.
Yep.
I think when they said I think Paul was like, people are like, oh, isn't it just the same thing every year? And it's like, no, it's not. Like, it obviously gets better every year because, everybody gets better with the filmmaking and just how they decide to curate the festival changes. So it's just every year is just an improvement like everything else. And definitely check them out this year and keep an eye on our channel as well, on Instagram at the SoFly Crew, because we'll be posting about, updates from them. We 100% want to share and
Totally.
just, continue.
I know.
Supporting
in the
F3T.
past, in the past, it's been hosted at the Sportsman Show in Mississauga, but obviously this year's gonna be way different. And who knows? Maybe we can pull something off, or you can just watch it online, which will be really cool.
Definitely.
'Cause you
100%.
don't have-
Be really cool. And
Taking
I think,
those
it'd be
films.
really fun to do a drive-in type of thing. Like if we hosted something at Bean Park in Paris, when COVID's over, and we just put up a big inflatable screen and we get a burger truck down there and some beer spot like Muskoka to come out and sell beers, and we just all go to the park and drink beers and eat cheeseburgers and watch fly fishing films. Doesn't that sound fun?
Sounds fun.
That sounds so
Sounds-
fun. Under the stars in the summer.
Yeah.
And then, we could spend the evening casting from smallmouth, and then
Next day, man, we just sleep in Bean Park, wake up and go fishing.
no
okay
sleeping
with that,
bags,
town of
no
Paris?
tents, no sleeping bags or tents. Just sprawl it out on the lawn.
Yeah.
Other people's lawns, actually. I'll
Yeah.
just
Other
crash
people's
in other
lawns.
people's lawns without asking.
Or knock on the door. They open it, walk in, sleep on their couch. We're gonna come to Paris, sleep in people's houses, and watch fly fishing movies. Doesn't that sound fun? 7:37 on a Sunday night. We're losing our friggin' minds. I need to eat some salmon cakes I got from Locks and Schmear. I'm gonna eat some salmon
nice,
cakes.
man.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
I think we're having Brie made kale salad with pancetta and little homemade
Ooh.
croutons.
Oh man,
I know.
that sounds good. I'm having salmon cakes and some mac and cheese. Yilma, what are you eating tonight?
What microwave pizza are you having?
Look at him over there. He's slowly looking down as he realizes it's true. He's just gonna dip into a bag of croutons with a spoon.
Some
Crunchy.
what's that called? Ready crisp bacon. Ready crisp. You're just gonna toss in some
Totally.
ready crisp bacon.
And put it in a tortilla.
I bought shrimp.
Okay. That's a step in the right direction.
Sorry,
You bought some
yelled it out
shrimp.
there, but yeah.
Bought some shrimp.
I bought
Well,
some shrimp.
actually, that's a good point, Yilma. You just brought up something interesting. We upgraded our platforming, and we
Yeah,
can use our
if any-
studio, and we can use our studio mics. So hopefully, everybody's enjoying the upgraded sound quality.
Hopefully it's better for everybody, you know. It's certainly better for us. It sounds amazing. I'll tell you that right now. So hopefully everybody likes it. But everybody, like, check out the show notes for any details on F3T. Check out the SoFly crew channels for F3T. And then just check out F3T. They're on Instagram. They've got way big following and all kinds of stuff on the website. We'll put everything in the show notes.
Yeah,
Google
you can-
F3T, you know, and you'll find all their info.
Yeah, and you can
follow along
watch
with what they're
past
doing.
films on their website and stuff. So yeah,
Yep. Check out all their past films. I mean, you could, if you haven't seen them, like, geez, you're in for some treats if you like fly fishing films. Which, how could you not? It's fun. It's fun to sit back and watch.
Oh,
Go
yeah,
fly fishing,
absolutely.
amazing places. I'm probably gonna go watch them tonight actually with my salmon cakes and
yeah. Get
sit
your ready
back and
crisp
take in
bacon,
some-
Yilma, and watch the
Yeah.
movies.
Thanks, man.
tuck into some films.
You guys have some
Um,
significant others to watch those films with. I have a little blankie.
Well, everybody at home, thanks for listening, and
And on that depressing note, thanks for listening, everybody.
yeah, right. Everybody at home, yeah. But honestly, Paul and Nick, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was great to chat. Nick, it was great to meet you. Paul, it was great to catch up, and definitely we'll connect when we can. And thanks for coming on the show. Everybody at home, thanks for listening. That is it for me, Mitch, Aldo,
Bye, everybody.
Ilma.
See ya.
Everybody listening, thanks, and take care. So weird, see ya. Take care.
You can find all of SoFly's content at sofly.ca. Reach out via email by sending your questions or comments to info@sofly.ca. Find him on Instagram at the SoFly Crew. Thank you for listening. Computer person out.